Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. Today I have another film to talk about that's a thing like Goosebumps. Of course, for anybody who's new to the channel, because of probably things like this review, this is a channel that focuses mainly on Goosebumps type things from R.L. Stine, the old book series from the 90s, and then it's still coming out now, but still. I like to do this segment on the channel where I talk about things that are kind of like Goosebumps and are things that I kind of grew up on that are kind of nostalgic for me. One of those things is the amazing, in my opinion, amazing. It's not like this Gone with the Wind type of thing, but it's Phantom of the Megaplex, the year 2000, Disney Channel original movie. Remember when Disney used to do this? I don't think they even do this anymore. You had things like High School Musical, Under Wraps, Cowbells, Xenon. You had so many amazing movies in those days, and nobody ever talks about how great Disney Channel used to be with Brandy and Mr. Whiskers era, and Dave the Barbarian, and Life with a Derek, and all these amazing cartoons, Kim Possible, all these great shows, and like the early 2000s, late 90s era. And this is one of those things that I never hear people talk about. Half the time nobody knows about the movie. Phantom of the Megaplex, I adore it. I absolutely adore it. Last year, it randomly occurred to me that I had not seen the film since before my parents split up in like 2003 or 2, somewhere. Well, they split up in 2004, but I hadn't seen the film since like 2003 or 2 on a repeat on TV at one point, late at night, on like a Friday night, I think is what it was, around Halloween time. It was in the middle of October, I remember that. But last year, around October, I remember looking through the on-demand, like, current movies that you could watch, and this was one of those things listed. And I nearly crapped myself, because Phantom of the Megaplex was something that even though I saw it once when I was a kid, I think I might have seen it twice at some other point after my parents had split up, I adore Phantom of the Megaplex. I think it is such an underrated movie. I think that the fact that Disney doesn't play it that much, even around Halloween time, is ridiculously insulting in my opinion. Everybody loves things like Halloween Town, and I understand that because I love Halloween Town 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3 since it came out on Disney Channel, and I haven't seen 4 at all. But I did buy 3 and 4 today. I've already owned 1 and 2 for a long time. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that this year for the Halloween stuff. If you really want it, I'll try to talk about it. But be patient with me. I don't have a whole lot of time. Of course, Halloween is on Thursday this week. It's going to be tricky. But anyway, Phantom of the Megaplex. Of course, like the title says, it's playing off of Phantom of the Opera. And it has, even the beginning of the film, it has the music that they made for the show, or the episode, TV, movie, whatever you want to call this. But they're also playing the Lon Chaney Sr. original Phantom of the Opera silent film. And of course, R.L. Stine also wrote a original classic series Goosebumps book in the 90s called Phantom of the Auditorium. So this kind of ties to that, but this is also a children's horror film, I would say, and kind of a mystery to it too. I don't know how much it's based on Phantom of the Opera, like just trying to be like a short, cutesy adaptation of that. But I will tell you many things about this movie that I enjoyed. Of course, this is a spoiler-free review, so don't worry too much about too many spoilers or anything. But if you love old Disney stuff, if you like old things like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you'll love this. I really think you do. If you've loved Goosebumps the way I have growing up as a 90s kid, you'll love this. I think it'll be right up your alley. The fact that I can sit here and say something like this, surprisingly held up all these years, is shocking to me. There were so many films that I loved from Disney Channel's original movie series. What was the one? Luck of the Irish, I think is what it was, about the kid turning into a leprechaun around St. Patrick's Day. But there were so many films like that, and Going to the Mat, and just, oh my god, Disney was amazing back in those days. And this is one of those fantastic examples, again, that nobody talks about. One of my favorite things about this film is that when I was a kid and I saw this for the first time, even though it came out in 2000, like I said, I don't think I saw it till 2002 or 3, the film petrified me when I was a kid. It was just fun, it was creepy entertainment for a kid. And this is coming from somebody who grew up on like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, all those really scary things, especially around that time, the late 90s, early 2000s stuff. I grew up on horror, and this film, there are pieces of it that got to me when I was a kid that I just enjoyed. I mean, and just me in general, I have loved, since I was a kid, movie theaters. Even whether they're a giant megaplex like this particular film has, or something small scale like my local theaters typically are. There's only like one big megaplex type of theater that we have locally. It's not an IMAX theater or anything like that. The closest IMAX theater is like an hour and a half away But, when it comes to the relatively decently sized movie theaters, we have that, and they stink, they smell bad, but they also have they don't feel the way movie theaters felt when I was a kid, Like, I don't know if it's just a childhood thing, like a nostalgia thing or what, but I've always had this love for movie theaters, and I don't go anymore. I don't have the time to. My fiance doesn't like horror films or any kind of movies really that much. She's just not a movie person. So we don't really go to the movies very often, and when I do, I'm pretty much by myself, or I go with my mom. Just because she loves movies too. Mostly horror, I think that's where I got it from. But this movie she always enjoyed as well, when we used to watch it on TV every once in a while. Like I said, I think I've only seen it like twice when I was a kid and a few times since I've been an adult. I was so thankful last year when I saw that this was on demand, and I had such a blast watching it. Last time I had such a blast watching it this time, last night and tonight, where I finished the movie up. I had so much fun watching it again. It's such a good, decent, fun family movie, and I think if you have younger kids, no matter what the age, there are elements I think will scare them, like I said, but I think your family can enjoy this overall. And essentially, with the whole basis of this movie is basically focused on a young fellow who's the assistant manager at his big Cinemaplex, and there's this big midnight movie release coming out called Midnight Mayhem. It's a kind of a horror, action, thriller, Jurassic Park type of movie. And of course, the movie theaters back in the day with like Star Wars and stuff, I remember people, when Attack of the Clones came out, the people that worked at the theater would dress up like Anakin and Padme and all these things. They're great memories I have. I remember I brought like a toy lightsaber of Anakin's lightsaber from Attack of the Clones. There are moments like that in this movie where they're preparing and decorating and stuff for this Midnight Movie Mayhem thing, this premiere. And you don't see people treat premieres specially anymore. Everything's released on Thursday nights now. They're not even on like Fridays, and then some special movies like Star Wars get a Thursday night release. That's not how it is anymore. Everything gets released on Thursday nights, basically. And everything's basically superhero movies anymore. But anyway, that's not what I'm going to get into right now. But this movie has so many things about it that are just so 90s and so early 2000s. The main character, the assistant manager kid, has like spiky hair and it's blonde, and he looks like Johnny Test, basically. One thing I will say about this movie, I think all the kids did good. I think every single actor in the film did a good job. I enjoy it. Now, of course, the main general manager of the Cinemaplex itself is very rude, very mean. He very much talks down to everybody. And he happens to know from a phone call that he gets that their big owner boss guy is coming in with like the film Midnight Mayhem's director also. But this main guy that owns the theater, I didn't know this until I watched the end of this movie, but it finally realized where I knew him from. Oddly enough, this is the man that's the shop owner in the Haunted Mask Part 1 and Part 2 on Goosebumps TV show adaptation. Yeah, the shop owner. I was dumbfounded when I realized that this time. I feel like at one point I realized this when I was growing up, or when I watched it last year or something. At some point I knew about this and just forgot about it. But when I saw him, I double-checked on IMDb. It is him. I don't know his name, but that's awesome. I love that guy. He's so fun. He's so good. He's like the Robert Englund of people my age. Like we love this guy. I wish he was in more stuff. But the film also has some really cool aspects to it too. Like I said, there's this whole Phantom of the Opera kind of thing to it. There's somebody going around trying to sabotage the entire movie premiere, and it's making it hard on everybody. All the employees are understaffed. They're having to skip breaks and everything. Of course, our main character, Pete, I believe is his name, with the spiky blonde hair, Johnny Test look-alike. He's having to run all over the place and trying to take care of everything, being the assistant manager. And there's also this other fellow that's there that used to own the original theater before it was torn down and built into this new huge megaplex thing. He's played by Mickey freaking Rooney. Mickey Rooney is in this, aka Santa Claus from The Year Without a Santa Claus, right? Mickey Rooney is in this. That's how good it is. And he's so old here, and it's so sad to me. I looked on IMDb, and Mickey Rooney died in 2014. I didn't even know. I'm still heartbroken over that when I saw it again a minute ago. Because this guy was part of this movie that meant so much to me when I was younger, and I've always had this love for this movie. Mickey Rooney basically was playing a guy named Movie Mason, and he's a guy that just loves movies. He loves film. If you go to him to get your tickets torn, even though he doesn't even work there, he just tries to offer all the time. He'll make his own schedule and go to the general manager, Sean, and give him the list, and Sean always just throws it in the trash and doesn't use Movie Mason to help out with trying to take care of the theater and stuff. But with this particular night, everything is understaffed. They kind of need him, but Sean doesn't want him around. But Movie Mason decides to help out anyway. At one point, he's told he can help out with tearing tickets and giving them back to the customers while they're coming in to go to the Midnight Mayhem premiere and to some other premieres for other movies and stuff. And it's a heartbreaking scene with him, but Mickey Rooney's love and compassion in this role as Movie Mason for movies is just amazing. I love watching him talk about the stuff. He's just life-filled, you know? It blows my mind. It's such a fun role for him to play in this weird little kooky, little silly, goofy movie. And yeah, it's goofy, yeah, it's silly, but I adore it. And my reviews and my recommendations, and these, even down to these things like Goosebumps videos, are focused on what kind of experience did I have with these things. How much would I recommend this? How much did I enjoy it personally? That's kind of my whole review and my general channel for anything, Goosebumps books or otherwise. Because I think that's what really matters. How much of a fun time I had, how much I'd recommend something tremendously to somebody, or not at all to somebody. But I had a blast with everything in this film. I always love it. Now, of course, our main character, Pete, the Johnny Test lookalike, he also has this whole problem because his mom's going out on a date, but he also was told that he could bring his younger sister and younger brother, younger than the sister, to a movie there. And there's this whole thing going on with the Phantom at the place. May or may not be a ghost. It's kind of more like the Phantom of the Opera type of thing if you're familiar with that. But there's all this stuff going on, so now he's also concerned about the safety of the brother and the sister. And they're kind of getting involved in this whole mystery too. And it's just a fun whodunit type of movie for kids. Who thought of this? Who came up with this idea? And I wish they had taken the sequel bait too at the end of the movie. I wish we had gotten more. That could have been so cool. And the fact that there's 4 Halloween Town films and we got 1 Phantom of the Megaplex. And I honestly think it's because nobody knew about the movie. Maybe if I'm wrong, maybe if you were born like earlier than I was born in '94. I think it's why I don't understand that it came out in 2000. But if you were someone who got to see the premiere of Phantom of the Megaplex, what did you think about it? I'd love to know your thoughts specifically, if it was advertised a lot, because it wasn't when I was growing up, as far as I remember. I don't think I ever saw commercials for this until just one night it just happened to come on Disney Channel and I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. But if you're a big movie fan, it's kind of more mainstream, like we're talking like Godzilla, King Kong type of stuff. If you're a big fan of that kind of thing, I think you'll love this. I think it's a big, fun, movie-loving film that really shows appreciation of that, especially having Mickey Rooney here. There's just a fun time to be had here. I love the colors. I love the 90s and early 2000s color aspect for everything in the theater. If somebody's wearing a blue shirt and a red vest, oh, it's bright. It's so bright and it looks great. I cannot believe that movies like this and Going to the Mat are not on DVD. It's the same thing I constantly fight with people over all the time when I talk about Disney's old days. Why is Brandy and Mr. Whiskers not on DVD? Why is Life with Derek not on DVD? Why is Dave the Barbarian, of all things, not on DVD? Why do I have to go to YouTube to watch these things when they're illegally uploaded? These things have a fan base. What's Disney thinking? I don't know why, like, they're not even in a vault to be released every 15 years or 20 years or 25 years. It's not like that. It's the fact that Disney just does not release these things. It's like they're ashamed of it or something because they lost the rights. Well, they don't lose the rights technically, but they start firing people if they're younger actors and actresses by the time they hit 18 because they don't have to pay them as adults, you know, pay those kind of royalties and whatnot. But it gets to me because there's so many things I would love to see from Disney again that I can't watch anywhere but on YouTube if I can find it, you know. The whole complete collection of Brandy and Mr. Whiskers is not on YouTube, and I'd love to see all that. But things like this, how is this only available digitally? And it's so cheap too, it's like $5. But it's so great. It's so great. I would love to have a copy of Phantom of the Megaplex on my DVD collection on my shelf, because I'd be proud to own that. It is a good movie. It's fun. Again, it's very clean. It's a Disney Channel TV original. Kind of creepy for younger viewers, I'd say. Like I said, I was probably like 7 or 8 when I saw this. And even though I had grown up on horror, even at that point, I saw Goosebumps and all kinds of stuff. This thing got to me when I was younger. Even as an adult, I can look back and see these certain things, but I can also say that it's well made and it's fun to watch. It has a lot of comedy, I think, that works for the most part. There is some choppier, goofier parts that don't concern me. I don't consider those flaws, but some people might, so I'd like to bring those up to you guys. I love the organ music for the soundtrack. I think that's a blast to listen to, and it's really loud. So if you're watching this late at night, not my video, but the movie itself, be ready. You might have to turn the volume up and down constantly, because when people talk, they mumble. It's kind of the beginning of that era of movies. But when organ music plays, your ears are going to bleed. So, Yeah, just know about that. I feel like there was something else I wanted to mention with this movie. I don't know, but just myself in general, I'm a big movie fan. I talk about all this Goosebumps stuff, and every once in a while I'll reference some other things I love, like Phantasm and just some other things. I'm a big movie fan in general. Dude, you don't realize how many movies that I have in my house on so many bookshelves. I'm a big movie guy. I always have been. I love my Goosebumps, but I love a lot of other things too. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite things ever. And if you love movies, if you appreciate movies, if you appreciate, for example, Movie Mason's whole obsession with movies and the quality of movies is the big thing too for me. Oh, what I was going to say earlier is with Movie Mason, when he has to tear tickets, if you come up to him and you're watching, and you just want to watch a piece of crap movie that he thinks is a piece of crap, then he literally will not give you your ticket back. He will just say, hey, I highly recommend something else over here for you to go see instead. People get mad at him too over that whole thing. But I feel like Phantom of the Megaplex has so much of a heart and a passion behind it, whether it be with the people who are involved with the script, or just the one guy who wrote the script, or whether it be just the people who are making it in general. It just is a fun time. I like it. I like the characters, especially the main character, Pete, who works himself to death as the assistant manager at the Megaplex. But he also, at the same time, is mocked because he's just trying to live life and make money. And he wants to make a lot of money so he can kind of impress this one girl that's coming to the Midnight Movie Mayhem premiere thing. But he's not 75 years old. His mom points this out to him, too, about how he works way too much. There were so many things like that I just find interesting as a Disney Channel main character for a movie. It was really cool, though. I could not recommend this enough to you guys. If you haven't seen Phantom of the Megaplex, please take out the time to watch it, especially this month with it being Halloween this week, If you want something fun to watch with your kids, or if you happen to be a younger person yourself, or even if you're my age, if you're turning 25 like myself next month, watch the movie. I think you'll find something really enjoyable here. Maybe not as much as I do with my nostalgia for it and my memories for it and so many other things that apply to me as a movie fan and so many other things. But if you like Goosebumps, I think you'll like this. And I'm going to tell you this too. The mask that the Phantom uses that haunts this Megaplex, the mask that he uses genuinely creeps me out. I don't care if it's some crappy silver-sprayed Walmart mask from Halloween time 20 years ago. I don't care. It still creeps me out. To this day, when I saw it just now, watching the movie again, before I finished it a moment ago, for like the 4th time in my life, gotta say, man, that mask gets me every time. I don't know what it is about that. It's just so Michael Myers-esque. I don't know what it is. It gets me. There's not really anything else to say about the movie, though. I had a blast watching this time. This is one of those things I'm trying to make into a new tradition for myself. Every single October, I want to watch this, and of course my other things like Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween, Bravo Doobie Doo, which is a Johnny Bravo short with Scooby-Doo and the gang involved. I've talked about all those things here on my channel so far. But there's so many things I want to watch every single Halloween. Some of the Hey Arnold scarier episodes and stuff. I just have a blast watching a lot of these things from when I was a kid that hold up to this day. And this is one of those things, and so is Halloween Town. They're the things that really hold up to this day somehow. And that really impresses me. And I don't think a lot of people give them enough credit for the fact of how hard that is to do, to make a timeless, if you will, type of Disney Channel TV original movie. Because not many of them are timeless, honestly. But this is one of them, I think. And this is one that nobody ever talks about, like I said. And it's a shame, frankly, in my opinion. That's why I think it should have been released on DVD, because I think a lot of people would have picked this up. I think it should be played more during the daytime for Disney Channel, because I think more people would like this, instead of playing it at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when most kids aren't watching this. If you played this at like 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock, I think families would get together and watch this on Disney Channel. I think they'd have a blast. It's so fun. It's enjoyable. Like I said, it's kind of a whodunit. That works great. Kids love stuff like that. It's a mystery type of movie. It's a horror type of movie for kids. It's fun. Nobody knows what's happening in the theater or how all these things are going wrong. It's just a fun time. I could not recommend it enough to you guys. So if you've seen Phantom of the Megaplex and you're able to appreciate this movie as much as I do, put your thoughts and comments down below. Tell me what you think about the film. Please don't spoil too much for anybody. If you're going to put a spoiler down there, that's fine, since I've already seen it. But please list it as a spoiler so other people don't ruin it for themselves. I think that so many people would enjoy this. And this is one of those things I was really passionate this month, God willing, I was going to do a video on. because I wanted you guys to know about it. Just because nobody ever talks about it, nobody ever appreciates it. No one I know, even my friends and family who grew up on Disney Channel more than I did, because I was more of a Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon guy. But even for people who did with Disney Channel, it upsets me because most of them have never heard of this. And they haven't seen it, they don't know what it is. Even movie buff friends of mine don't know what this is. Anyway, please check it out. If I had to rate Phantom of the Megaplex on a 5-star basis, with my nostalgia, my rose-tinted glasses on my face, but also my adult objection to the fact that I don't think the film has many problems with it. It has some issues here and there. But for me personally, again, my whole channel is focused on more my enjoyability factor and how much I love something. How much I would want to rewatch it again currently, like right now. Could I sit down and rewatch something again? With Phantom of the Megaplex, I could, and I love it to death. I think it's incredibly well made to be such a TV movie, especially with the sets for the Megaplex itself. I just have a blast every time I watch it. I don't know what it is. This film is special, and nobody gives it the credit it deserves, in my opinion. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. I'm going to be frank with you. I'm going to be the most biased person on the planet and tell you that I love it. I think it's great. I think any Goosebumps fan would love this. Easily. So what are your thoughts? Put them down below, guys. Thank you for watching and hearing me ramble about my past and my life, my parents' divorce, and all kinds of stuff. Because that kind of stuff made me into who I am now. God used all of those things for my life and to guide me to where He wanted me. And things like this are something that really impressed me when I was a kid, that have stuck with me my entire life. And I think a lot of you younger viewers are going to realize that one day with yourselves and things that you love. There are things like this that stick with you for the rest of your life. And you understand it in a way that nobody else does. You know, especially for a personal reason, like with my past. And it's going to mean something to you. You're going to see that one of these days. And I think a lot of my older viewers, like my age, maybe some people that are older than me, you probably know what I'm talking about. There are things that you love that nobody else can understand why you love it. This may be one of those things, I don't know, but I'd recommend it regardless. Check it out. The acting isn't bad. I'm really, really surprised by how good this holds up to this day. I was very worried about this film when I watched it again last year for the first time in a long, long, long time. But it's good. It's good in my opinion. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. What are your thoughts? Put them down below. Happy Halloween, guys. Thank you so much for being on the channel. Listen to me talk about stupid things, like myself. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.